So let's talk solution before we go. How do we fix this? How do you get the right mindset to change the situation so it's not so problematic for you? Here's the first thing you got to do. Number one, you got to start attacking your revolving debt with massive, massive, massive assaults. How? Well, you got to start distinguishing your needs from your wants. That's the first thing. Here's the key. This is important. If you start distinguishing your needs from your wants, and if you remember that interest is the penalty you pay for the right to own things in advance that you can't afford, then you won't buy those things anymore. You see, it amazes me when people say, yeah, man, I went out and bought that new 745. Did you? Did you buy it? Write this down. Just because I can afford payments doesn't mean I can afford it. I'm not bashing people with car notes. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But let me just make sure I make sure this is clear. The bank will have you thinking that just because you can make the payments, that means you can afford it. That's not true. Because if I could afford it, I would buy it. So I'm never impressed with what somebody drives. I'm impressed with what the assets look like on your balance sheet. I know a guy, true story, man. If you saw his car, you would think he was a complete bum. Paint chipping off, the sun hit it so much, the rust coming up under it. He a multi-millionaire. I know 3 people like that. They all drive the most raggedy car in the world. I'm like, shit, let me get me a, I'm sorry. Let me get me a raggedy car too. If all wealthy people got raggedy cars, let me go get a raggedy car then, because it must be something to this raggedy car thing. They understand that it depreciates. So that's why, like a lot of people that know me know I like the old schools, because now they appreciate after a certain period of time. So wealthy people judge you based on your assets. Broke people judge you based on your liabilities. Wealthy people judge you based on your assets. Broke people judge you based on your liabilities. How in the world you gonna judge me off how much debt I have in my automobile? Like that's comical to me. How are you judging a person off the debt they have on their car? Man, such and such went out and got that new Bentley coupe. Okay. Hey, I'm not knocking cars. I got nice cars, but they're paid for by the assets. They're not paid for by the debt. See, even if you have a nice car, do the math and hit that installment loan with an all-out massive assault and a different attitude, so they won't make the money off of you that they thought they were going to make off of you. See, they knew when you left, they said, yes, we're going to make an extra 18,000. You like, no, no, no. Like when Tombo say, no, no, no. I've been on Brian's webinar. Y'all lucky if y'all get $3,000 off this little note I had to take. You know, I had to get a new car. I had to get a note. Nothing wrong with that. I'm mad at you if you got 1 million credit cards and a bunch of revolving debt. That's what kills you. All right, let me keep going. Slide. Second to last slide. Watch this. So let's talk about the solutions. All right, so write this down. Number one, we got to start distinguishing our wants from our needs. If interest is the right to afford, is the penalty you pay for the right to own something in advance you can't afford, then you have to ask yourself, if I can afford the payments, that doesn't necessarily mean I can afford it. Number two, you got to start attacking your revolving debt with all-out assault. Number three, understand that credit card debt is a debt of emotional immaturity. Woo, that's big. Credit card debt is a debt of emotional immaturity. In other words, most people, that's an impulsive buy. Look, if you shopping on credit cards, your butt don't need no clothes. You don't. If you in a department store with a credit card, you don't need the clothes. I promise you, you got clothes in your closet. That's an emotional need that you're trying to fulfill by getting something to make you feel okay for a temporary period of time for a permanent problem you're not dealing with. Now, let me say that again. Typically, emotional buys, will put a temporary Band-Aid on a permanent situation you're not dealing with. So if you are in a department store with a credit card buying clothes that will not appreciate, clothes go out of style, which is why they depreciate. Why in the world are you giving them interest on clothes that are going out of style over the next 3 years anyway? It's because you have a temporary emotional need that you're trying to fill, and you going in there and they gave you what you think is a permanent solution. Credit card debt is a debt of a lack of self-control. Credit card debt is a debt of submitting to weakness. Don't submit to weakness. Credit card debt is a debt of making poor choices. Those are 4 things you got to overcome during your all-out massive assault so you won't regress. Let me say this again. We're going to wrap this up. Credit card debt is a debt of A, emotional maturity. You got to mature. You got to start saying to yourself, okay, wait a minute. I'm making an emotional buy here. I'm not getting a rental car on my credit card then paying it off at the end of the month. No, I'm making an emotional buy. Number 2, credit card debt is a debt of a lack of self-control. Credit card debt is a debt of weakness. You're submitting to weakness. And credit card debt is a debt of making poor choices.